I know some people don't like it when people smack when they're eating, but I love it. The sound of people enjoying their food, smacking their lips, hearing the saliva coat the food as your teeth chomp. It just makes me feel so nourished and happy and grateful for them and to be able to hear that. And it reminds me of my own experience when I'm also chomping and chewing on some really good, delicious, nutritious food. I want to show you my world. Good morning. I'm eating a bagel. It is a plain bagel with a fried egg and some cheddar cheese. I love this food. My dad used to make it for me when I was younger, and it's just a staple, really nice breakfast food that keeps me nice and full. Yummy. And it's yummy. I like cheese. Cheese is criminal, but I'm here, so there's that. But yeah, today I'm going to be talking to you all about my journey with self-love that is still going on, but I feel like I've made significant improvement. Just improving my confidence, loving myself, showing up authentically. And I feel like the progress that I've made this far, I feel comfortable sharing it with y'all because maybe I might help someone. And then also too, acknowledging that growth that I had from where I began to where I am now also helps me stay grounded and committed to the process, even though I'm not 100%, and I probably never will be at 100% where I want to be, but just documenting and taking stock of the progress that I have made is really important to me. So yeah, doom. I guess I can give you some backstory on the journey and lack of self-love that I used to have. My parents went through like a really weird and tumultuous and turbulent experience, and I unfortunately suffered because of it. But it doesn't really matter. That's in the past. What I can say is that I'm really grateful for all of the people that have helped me on this journey for me to become like where I am today. I just feel like when your back is to the wall and you have no choice but to, you know, sink or swim, I'm really grateful that I was able to swim. So things that I've done to really help me with my self-love journey: for one, meditation. I honestly really just started meditating last year, 2023, March, consistently, but meditation as a concept was introduced to me in 2017 by Ponlay, and I feel like it's been really helpful because I became aware of the constant chatter and noise that was in my mind and the things that I was constantly thinking. So through meditation, just sitting with myself in silence, I was able to find out like, oh, I was feeling insecure because of acne. I was feeling insecure or less than because of the relationship I had with my parents. I was feeling insecure and less than, or I felt like I wasn't worthy because of things that I had experienced in different friend groups, just stuff like that. And I feel like awareness is the first key, because even if you're not able to make any changes there, you're just able to take note and be still and present and sit with your fucking self, even if it's uncomfortable, and just take it in. The most important thing that I've introduced to my experience is facing myself wholly. I used to be really scared of myself, and what I mean by that is whenever I would have negative thoughts, I would feel like, oh man, this is just who I am, I can never change. Face yourself wholly. Two, I felt insecure, like I needed to I had acne too, really bad acne. Worse than anything that I've shown on the channel. Just because it was very sensitive to me, and my self-worth also was around my beauty and my appearance. And when I felt like I no longer had that, boy oh boy, I went through the trenches. Oh God, what a life. Oh God. Woo. That was painful times, but also necessary, because then I was able to separate from myself. Like, I'm not my appearance, I'm not my negative thought. Sometimes I would do like really fucked up things, like, but it's true, like I have to be honest, like I was a fucked up person just because I was like, I felt like because I was suffering, you needed to suffer too. Like, it just wasn't fair. Not the, oh, I'm suffering, someone is not suffering, this gives me hope to not suffer. I was an agent of chaos, destruction, malicious, all of these things, and then kind to the select people that I wanted to be kind to. And through meditation, I was able to realize, one, that's really fucked up, and you need to face these aspects of yourself. Like, I was very much a person that was like, whatever, I am who I am, fuck it, I can't really change it. But I realized that I am who I am, and because of that, I can change it and I can tap in. So I had to be very courageous and sit in a room by myself, lock the door, sit on the floor, look in the mirror, and like just let myself run free and actually start talking out loud. Because I realized that the noise in your head can sound so freaking loud. They can take you outside of the place that you currently are, take you out of the present. But when you start vocalizing and using your voice to speak, then you're able to ground yourself, center yourself, come back to the present. So say for example, if I was working on my self-image, my self-esteem, and I got in front of the mirror, I sat down, I was ready to face myself. If I started thinking like, I'm unworthy, or I'm ugly because of this, I don't like being black, my hair is nappy, it's this, it's that, it's blah 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 blah, I would say it out loud, right? Hear myself saying it, hear how fucking insane that was, ask, and then start to wonder like, hey, where did I learn this from? Where did I pick this up from? Okay, and then I was able to realize like, okay, the type of media that I was consuming, the kind of people I was around, that, and also too, I had to realize that I was valuing other people's opinions of myself way more than my own. And another thing was that I felt like I had to hide or conform who I was to get love and acceptance from the people around me. I just had to realize these things, and then once I did, it became easier. And I'm lying, it wasn't fucking easy. It was not easy at all. Okay, now that I realize these things, I went into the phase of like, okay, yes, I am fucked up, I'm mean, I'm wicked, I'm this, I'm all of these things. And I, you know, accepted it, and I was very sad and like guilty, and I felt like, oh man, this is just it. It was actually crazy. So from there, I felt the confidence and the power within myself to start taking control of how I showed up and how I existed in the world. I really wanted to put makeup on today, but I'm respecting myself and loving myself. So when I put my vitamin C serum on this morning, my skin burned, and I was like, this is not put makeup on skin, right? Like, this is let your skin breathe and heal and vibe through it type of skin. So that's where we are today. So after I realized like, okay, I had all of these negative beliefs about myself, I was really encompassing them and embodying them. I have been open and kind and shown my true like vulnerable self to these select few people, and I've gotten really good results. So maybe now that I'm in a different environment than I was when I was growing up, it might be more safe for me to kind of show this kinder, more open, vulnerable, considerate person. I just want this to be as transparent as I can be, you know? And maybe I'm losing the plot here. So I feel like this break that I just took was a really good example of accepting yourself and giving yourself grace. In the past, if I wasn't getting it right on the first take, I definitely probably would have quit and felt like, oh, I'm inadequate, I can't do this. But I'm taking a break. I'm realizing like, oh, okay, this was a little bit harder than I thought it would be. Acknowledging that, accepting that, giving myself grace, knowing that this is something that's new to me. I'm trying something new. I'm not going to be an expert immediately, but this is a great start. Great. So that's an applicable life lesson, that is a real life example of what I'm about to say. So now it's not like the moment I acknowledge like, oh, I'm being mean for no reason, or this is triggering me in this way, so I'm reacting in this way, that I'd be able to just stop it. Like, we all know that the emotions can be very difficult and overwhelming, and they feel like in that moment there's nothing you can do. You're just a vessel for that fuel and emotion and thing. So say for example, if someone were to hurt my feelings really bad, boy oh boy, I would do everything in my power to make sure that I got you back. And I got you back so well that you would never ever ever in your life think to do that shit to me again. Which is funny, right? But not. Because one, a lot of the time people weren't actually doing anything bad to me. Not all the time, but sometimes I would feel like people were doing things to me, and I would react based on that, as opposed to being present, acknowledging what's actually going on, checking in with myself, communicating, and then you know, taking a course of action. Even if I, like, you didn't do anything, even if I thought that you were thinking about doing something, I would do something to you to deter you from fucking with me. And that's okay. That's what I needed to do in that time to protect myself, because I learned that behavior as a form of self-preservation to keep myself safe from perceived threats. And once I became aware that my responses were too vast and grand for the threat that I was perceiving, I started to ask myself, like, okay, so what do you do if you're in a situation and someone does this to you, or they say this to you, or like, what do you do? I started asking, outsourcing, looking to people who had that really good emotional regulation, that self-confidence, that self-love, that sense of self-worth, and like really trying to understand, and then also being patient with myself along the way. Lack of self-love and self-confidence comes from an environment that made you feel like you needed to shelter or hide portions of yourself in order to be accepted, cared for, valued, and a part of the group. Code switching is what some people call it, but I feel like it can be damaging if you are only presenting in the way that you feel like people would accept and love. So for me, I had to really be comfortable with and okay with being by myself and not having a large group of friends. I got to the point where I decided if I had no one on this earth, it was just me and me, and I knew that I was loving, I was kind, I was constantly accepting myself where I was at, I was constantly expressing gratitude and, you know, approaching the world with a clean, pure heart and mind, and asserting my boundaries and being myself, liking what I like, disliking what I don't. If there was someone that didn't like me or felt like I was not their cup of tea, I did not give a fuck. Like, I was fully prepared, and I am fully prepared to walk this earth alone, if that means being my true authentic self, showing up, taking space, speaking freely. Like, I feel like it's okay for you to make a mistake. I feel like it's okay for you to say something fucked up, realize that it's fucked up, and take it back. You know, like, self-expression is a huge key for living a fulfilling life. Like, you have to be yourself. Like, I feel like I almost lost that sense of self. Like, I needed to assimilate or be this specific thing or person to be accepted in life. You don't even have to get it right the first time. Like, I used to really want to be an all black everything, woman of few words, mysterious, deep, dark. I tried it out. I didn't really like it. And I didn't feel like I needed to force myself to stay with it. Like, you don't have to force yourself to do anything. Like, try the things that bring you joy, try the things that bring you happiness, and then get rid of everything else that doesn't. But yeah, this is a yummy sandwich. Okay. Also too, I believe that isolation is a really good and important part of the journey. So when I had acne specifically, I noticed that when I was in my room alone, I felt beautiful. I felt like I loved myself. I felt like I had safety in my skin, like I accepted myself, and everything was fine. It wasn't until I got around other people and they started telling me like, oh, what happened to your face? You used to be so beautiful. Like, bro, that shit used to hurt my feelings. I started internalizing it and actually thinking to myself like, oh, maybe I'm not worthy, maybe I'm not less than. That was so painful and not helpful and good for me while I was developing that sense of self. So I say that to say isolation is really important, because while you're building that self-confidence, that self-love, become so like tapped in, tuned in, turned on to yourself that literally anyone that has anything negative to say about you that's not grounded or presented in a loving, kind way, you're looking at them insane. Like, it just rolls off of you like water on a duck's back. It's good to be alone. That's it for today. I think this is a really good start. I'm definitely gonna do this again when I am more mature and I have a more cohesive train of thought to follow. However, I'm really happy that I sat down and tried this, and I hope that this was helpful, even though I kind of did like this. We got to the end though. So have a beautiful, blessed evening. Sit with yourself in silence. Become aware of yourself, your traits, your nature, like what you are prone to do. Just anytime you feel a really strong emotion, whether good or bad, be curious with that emotion. Ask yourself, where is it coming from? When did I first feel this feeling? What other scenarios or situations have I been in when I felt this feeling? Did I already say be aware? Yes, be aware. And then now that you're aware and you're deciding to take action to resolve or improve whatever that thing may be for you, give yourself patience and grace. Bro, my nose is so itchy. What does the itchy nose mean? It means that your nose is itchy. I just became present and aware of my surrounding and everything that's going on around me, and I just feel so grateful for the growth that I've had. It's been a journey, and every day is a journey. But with everything that I learn, I'm applying it and giving myself grace and space to be. And I think that's the most important thing. Bye! Psych! Yeah, all the things I said.